Today we'll be telling the story of St. Teresa of Calcutta, known as Mother Teresa during her lifetime, whose feast is celebrated on September 5th. Mother Teresa was born on August 26, 1910. She was given the name Agnes Gogne Boyaci. Mother Teresa was born in what is currently the capital of North Macedonia. Her family was Kosovar Albanian. Mother Teresa wanted to become a missionary from a very young age and left home at age 18 to join the Sisters of Loreto in Ireland. A year later, she left for India, where she began her novitiate in Darjeeling. 2 years later, she took her first vows as a religious and wanted to choose the name Thérèse after St. Teresa of Lisieux, the patron saint of missionaries. But because another sister already took that name, she opted for the Spanish spelling of Teresa. 6 years later, she took her solemn vows, and then for the next 20 years of her life, she worked as a teacher and a headmistress at the convent school. In 1948, she began her missionary work with the poor, and by 1950 had received Vatican permission for the organization that would become the Missionaries of Charity. Mother Teresa wanted to care for those that no one else in society cared about or wanted, people that had literally been left on the street to die alone. She worked tirelessly, and by 2007, the Missionaries of Charity had over 5,000 sisters, 450 brothers, and operated over 600 missions, shelters, and schools in 120 countries around the world. In 1979, Mother Teresa received the Nobel Peace Prize, and when asked how people could contribute to world peace, she said, "Go home and love your family." St. Teresa of Calcutta is the patron saint of the Missionaries of Charity and World Youth Day. Now it's time for our story. Sister Teresa carried her small bag with her to the Calcutta train station. The day was already beginning to heat up. Dust swirled around her feet as the crowds of people around her rushed through the streets. She looked forward to the annual retreat in Darjeeling. It was nice to take a break from her teaching job and spend time in prayer in the cool mountain air. She enjoyed her work as a teacher and had faithfully done this job for over 20 years. The trains were usually very crowded, people standing all squished together in hot cars. And the little train that took travelers on the last leg of the journey to Darjeeling was also very crowded, but at least Sister Teresa had a seat. The little train was called the toy train because it was so little it looked like a toy. As the little bright blue train chugged up the narrow mountain track, Teresa sat looking out the window at the passing jungle. As the train chugged along, she began to pray. Teresa prayed for a safe journey for her fellow travelers, for the train workers, and for the journey to be a relatively easy one. Sometimes a train journey of a few hours could turn into a journey of days if the late summer heat caused the tracks to buckle. As the little train continued its ascent up the winding mountain rail, something amazing happened. While lost in prayer, St. Teresa experienced a vision of Jesus. This is what St. Teresa would later call her call within a call, because she was already living her life as a religious, but it was at this point in her life, at the age of 36, that God decided to ask something more of her. Jesus asked Teresa to begin her work with the poorest of the poor. He asked her to leave her work as a teacher and go out into the streets of Calcutta and minister to those that were unwanted and unloved by everyone else. He wanted someone to take care of those people so that they would feel loved in the last days of their lives. The little toy train finished its journey into the mountains of Darjeeling, and Teresa exited the train a changed woman. The experience of the love and light of God on the train completely changed her and the direction of her life. As she looked around Darjeeling, the world seemed different now. She knew that she had experienced something miraculous and was determined to honor Jesus' request and do all that he had asked of her. She turned her eyes upward towards the sky, now filled with beautiful stars after a long day of travel, and thanked God. She got on the train as Sister Teresa and got off the train as Mother Teresa, the missionary to the poor that became famous around the world within her own lifetime. St. Teresa's experience of Jesus, his love and thirst for mankind, inspired her to start the Missionaries of Charity and work for the rest of her life with the poorest of the poor. The story of St. Teresa of Calcutta reminds us that God can call us many times in our lives. No matter how young or how old, God can and will continue to use us to do his work as long as we are listening. St. Teresa of Calcutta, pray for us.